You're listening to the Ottawa Homeboys podcast, your go-to source for Ottawa real estate and everything in between. Now, here are your hosts, Aboozar Sheikhi, Dan Burton and Ahmed HUSSEIN. This podcast is about the real estate market in Ottawa and housing advice. But the advice may not apply to your situation. Contact the Homeboys or any licensed real estate professional for specific recommendations before you make decisions about your real estate needs.
Welcome to another episode of Ottawa Homeboys. I'm Aboozar Sheikhi. I got my man Dan Burton.
Nice
and special guest
Thank you.
from 613 Inspections, Mr. Sam HUSSEIN. Welcome.
Thank you.
Lots of top things to go over in this episode. We'll browse through the stats, and I guess from now on, as we talk, Dan, we'll do the statistics for the properties instead of doing it general. We'll do detached homes, semi-detached, and then townhomes, condominiums for, I guess, the viewers or listeners to get a feel for each category on their own, so that they can evaluate the especially average prices, the inventory, and so on for the past months. So
So
if you want to go through it.
Awesome. Nice to be back with you, Aboozar. Great to have Sam on. Can't wait to dive into just talking more about all things real estate and how inspections tie into that. I'll be pretty excited about that. Like Aboozar was saying, let's look at the market in a little bit more finer detail today. So this is specifically regarding single family market activity, whereas last week we did overall residential market activity. So for August 2025, we had 641 single detached homes sell. That's an increase of 11.5% from August 2024. It's pretty big, eh? Let's look at average price. So for August 2025, single family homes average price was $839,200. That's a 4% increase year over year.
That's interesting.
Again, a nice step up.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Awesome.
Good
stuff.
to you.
Perfect. So we pretty much, and the inventory went through as well. Yeah. It's interesting because we have the Bank of Canada's rate announcements as well. So 0.25 drop based on the increase in unemployment, as well as the slight increase or drop with the inflation rate. So it's a step forward. We were expecting this sort of a drop perhaps a couple of months back pre tariffs and so on. I guess there was a lot of uncertainty happening, and then things are starting to settle. We see the stock market coming back up again. So based on that, I guess, and all the stats, they decided to drop the. I don't know if this is going to make a huge impact on the market overall, but still, it's a bit of a change, and hopefully we'll see more drops come into 2026. Let's talk about inspections. We got our
100%.
special guest here, and I'll just give the mic to you, and then let Sam take over.
Yeah. So thanks for having me. Just to the people that don't know me, I'm Sam HUSSEIN. I'm the owner of 613 Inspections. A little bit about myself. So I'm actually a licensed civil engineer. I do home inspections. I do construction reviews. I do a little bit of construction management. When it comes to home inspections, I basically cover everything from pre-list to pre-purchase to carry-on warranties, the PDIs, the 30 days, the 1 year, sometimes 2 years. Sometimes I also do the investigation inspection. So someone will have a specific issue, right? So there's one issue that was pretty interesting to me. The homeowner left the home vacant for 4 months. But he noticed that the water usage was like insane. So he didn't know what was going on. So he called me up. Long story short, I checked everything. There was no leaks. I put the dyes in the toilet to see if there's any slow toilet leaks, all that stuff. Didn't find it. And then I ended my my inspection near the humidifier of the furnace. And the humidifier was cranked, blasting.
Oh, wow.
And the water line was, so it was on blast, and it was...
Wow.
It was basically that water line was running the whole time. There was no trigger, there's no sensor to turn it off. So 4 months, it was on blast. And so we found the culprit that way, right? So it's things like that makes the job very interesting. So it's not repetitive. Every day is a new story, basically. Yeah.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
So that's also, it's nice to, hear a little bit about your background in your own words, Sam. It also sounds like you've done quite a bit of, training and education to get into this industry. Do you find that there's sort of a standard that inspectors follow, or is it different for each inspector, and how does that work?
Very good question. So honestly, I don't know how other inspectors work. I've never shadowed another inspector. Based off feedback that I've heard from other agents, I came to realize that in general, each inspector has kind of their own style and their own checks and routines. So for example, some inspectors start from the basement and then they move their way up, right? Some start from the main floor and then they jump between upstairs, downstairs. For me personally, you've seen my inspections. Then I start with the outside and then I start from top and then I work my way down. So my reasoning for that is because it's easier to see if there's movement in the home, if there's shifting in the framing from the top, and then also because I do all the plumbing first. So by the time I finish the inspection and then I have and then I do the thermal imaging, if there's any leaks from the upper bathrooms, at the end of the inspection, which is around like the an hour and a half mark, 2 hour mark, there should be signs of a leak from the plumbing lines, right?
Okay.
So you and I won't see it with our naked eye, but the thermal camera will. So that's why I do the plumbing first. So if there is a leak, and let's say it's freshly painted, then it would have enough time to get absorbed through the drywall, and the thermal camera picks it up.
Yeah.
So, to answer your question, basically, I think everyone does things a little bit differently. I'm sure a lot of inspectors have the same or very similar tools. But yeah.
And what is the, like, just to give the listeners an idea, because as realtors, we need to be, for example, licensed, right?
Yeah.
We need to go through a whole process. Is that similar with can I be a home inspector tomorrow?
You can be a home inspector tomorrow,
Okay.
Dan can be a home inspector tonight.
So there's a huge, vast, right?
Yeah.
Are you applying?
Yeah.
I'm hiring.
Yeah.
So that's it. I want to know if it makes a huge difference whether you've gone through courses, you got certain certification, versus someone who's,
Yeah, so in Ontario, there's no regulation. So it's like there are different associations and there are different bodies to certify and give license to inspectors, but there's no one single body that certifies everyone. So I know that there's one for Ontario. I think there's a chapter in Ottawa, but in general, a lot of inspectors go with. There's one big one. It's called INTRNACHI, so the International Association of Certified Home Inspectors. So it's basically U.S. and Canada. And then there's another one where it's considered to be one of the industry's top certification, which is the Certified Master Inspector, CMI.
Yeah.
So I have that designation as well. And in Ottawa, there's the last time I checked, there was only 22 in Ottawa, and I'm one of them. So whether other guys are qualified for it, but they don't want to pursue it,
What's the figure? Do you have a figure on, like, we know, like, it's close to 3,000 agents in Ottawa, just about.
Right.
Do you know, like, you have that sort of a figure?
Of how many inspectors?
Yeah.
No idea.
You could imagine it could be challenging too, especially if somebody does start it overnight.
Yeah.
Oh, sure.
Where if they jump into
and with
it,
us, it's a more, I guess they know the
Yeah.
number of realtors getting into it.
Because of the actual license, right? So, as we said, if Dan's gonna become an inspector tonight, like it's gonna be hard to quantify that over the future, right? So,
Yeah, absolutely.
but yeah, it's and then different people have different opinions, right? Some people say, well, we want to hire an inspector that has an engineering background.
That's what I was gonna ask. That goes
Yeah.
a long way as well,
Yeah.
right? Because some of these properties, we get to a certain issue, especially with cracks, right? And then it comes the uncertainty, and then sometimes the inspectors throw stuff in that shouldn't be discussed just because the knowledge isn't there. There's a whole gap in between. So we're left into a position of whether we're going to negotiate or bring in a structural engineer.
Yeah.
and between that time that we're deciding, I mean, the buyer's mind or perception or decision might be impacted, right? Whereas if you have it on the spot, you know, obviously with numbers and figures, with construction is all over the place. You can't be throwing numbers around, you know, even as an engineer. But to have that peace of mind that the person is there, he's assuring us with the right license that I am qualified to tell you what this is, basically. Yeah.
And that's exactly it, right? So, and that's how I met a lot of agents, and that's how I get a lot of referrals from different people, right? It's they say it's it's just a peace of mind how you will look at things a little bit differently, right?
Yeah.
So it's one of the most common questions I get because I'm an engineer is, can we remove this wall once we move into the home, right?
Yeah.
So once we buy this home, is this wall load bearing or is it not load bearing? So it's a very common question that I get. It's actually a very interesting topic as well. There are a handful of inspectors that basically think that the load bearing walls are only on the outside.
Yeah.
So that's like the foundation walls, and there's no load bearing walls on the inside of the home. So they basically, when buyers or sellers or whoever, homeowners ask, can we remove this wall? A lot of them say, oh yeah, because it's an interior wall, go ahead and remove it, right? So yeah, just this year I've done I think 3 or 4 homes that I've done for a pre-purchase inspection, and I found the homes with there has been settlement, right? And some floors sloping and cracks and stuff like that. So after looking into it a little bit more, I realized that there was a wall that was supposed to be here that was removed, and it's I'm surprised because last year I think I ran into it maybe twice for the whole year. This year so far it's been 4 times.
Still surprisingly high.
It's which is I mean it's I'm sure everyone wants to have that new style of open concept, but you can't just be removing walls just because an inspector said you can remove an interior wall, right?
I mean I like that you bring this up too, Sam, because I think it allows us to kind of dive into another direction in the conversation as well. Like, to me, I think so many people think about what an inspector does and they think pre-purchase inspection, like we've been talking about a little bit so far. I think this would be a really cool time to in that specific instance, have a pre-list inspection come into play. And that way, there's no surprises at all, because you've got somebody like Sam in that could tell you, hey, this might be an issue before you go to list. Let's take a look at it. Let's see if we could address it now, or at least be aware of it so that somebody, that's purchasing it doesn't find that huge.
I always highly recommend, personally, the first thing I get into with sellers is like, listen, highly recommend. Do your pre-inspection. That's what happens is you have the report. I mean, if the buyer wants to do another inspection, I mean, that's their due diligence. They're welcome to do that. But for us, it's knowing what we're dealing with, if it's not major, and we know all the minor stuff. It doesn't necessarily mean the seller has to keep spending money and updating all these little things. It just means that especially in our market, when we get to a point where prices are negotiated, it's already negotiated and brought down. Now they're nitpicking about bits and pieces. We know what we're dealing with. It's not a structural. It's not a major thing. You're not getting the discount, right? So from a seller standpoint as well, it gives them the confidence to be able to hold that report versus any other report that comes into play with the buyer's inspection as well.
Yeah, it goes both ways. Some people, some sellers will do a pre-list inspection, and then they will use that list to fix things and then hopefully get a good value for their home. So other people, when they find surprises, what they'll do is they'll try to cover it up. So then when it's time, when the home's for sale, and then the buyers get their inspector, it's hidden, right? So
yeah, hopefully not the second. That's not the aim.
I won't know, right? So it's
I do think it does go back to it's great to have Sam here for a reason. Like you mentioned, we've worked on a few now together, and I think even just getting a better understanding of what a good inspector does. And how, like you had mentioned, you use thermal imaging. It might be cool to talk about some of the more tools that you'd use, because there are so many things that you and I as an agent, if it's a tough roof to see from the ground, what are we going to really do about it in advance other than ask the listing agent what they have on hand, gets any receipts that they might, until we can get somebody like Sam out there to do his thing. So I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about, like, I don't know what you think makes for a thorough inspection in your experience, sort of what tools you use, what that would look like, Sam.
Yeah, I mean, in general, I think most, like a lot of inspectors use the same tools, right? There's some inspectors that don't use thermal imaging at all, period. I personally use it just because it gives me a lot of information, right? So as I said, it can find leaks that you and I can't see with the naked eye. When there's a big temperature differential, so for example, when it's very warm outside and then the AC is on inside the home, or vice versa, when it's very cold out and the heat is on in the home, thermal imaging will show if there's any air leaks. So that's why I scan all walls and ceilings. I scan everything, right? And it gives me a lot of information, even for brand new homes. So when I do the Terion inspections for the 30-day or the 1 year, I scan everything. So sometimes the builders won't put enough insulation, for example, around light switches. So light switches located on the exterior wall, they have to be insulated, right? A lot of times they don't insulate it. So with the thermal camera, when you scan it, you'll see that there's a lot of air coming in just from that light switch, right? So even though you're not feeling it, like feeling the air coming in because you're sitting on the couch, but it's still impacting the overall thermal efficiency of the house. So it's something that I personally do, and I think it's a tool that if I lost today, I probably won't be doing an inspection today.
Yeah.
Right. So I'll say, or I'll do it and I'll say, guys, I need to come back, thermal scan everything just to make sure like everything is
And a quick sideline on that, just personally, I want to know, does this work on the exterior as well, or no? It's just only on it. I'm just curious to know if whether like air leaks from insulation is also detected, and how would you detect that? I don't want to put you on the spot,
No.
I'm just.
That's okay. You're going to be an inspector tomorrow. You can answer this thing.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm pretty sure you can scan from the outside if you have a very expensive thermal imaging camera, and like you can see things. But usually it's done from the inside.
Air coming in as opposed to going out. Well, my question is that. Right?
Yeah, well, I mean, like from the outside, if you think about it, if you have a brick home and then you have like the different layers of the wall composition behind the brick, so it's usually most of the time it's coming in, especially when you have windows, right? So it's when you have like your windows on your home allow air to come in, right? So it's much easier to see the air leaks from inside versus outside.
So I'll hold you to it, Sam. This is my question. You're gonna call me up one day and tell me, hey? That's your challenge. How we can find out.
Well, tomorrow when you start your inspection company, I'm gonna say, hey, come scan my house from the outside.
By the way.
Yes, sir.
Cool. Awesome.
Yeah. So there's stuff like that. There's another tool that I use for brand new homes. It's basically it's a small little machine, and it measures airflow. So basically I put that on the different air ducts around the house, and basically I like to see if the airflow upstairs is the same or similar to on the main floor versus the basement. So a lot of times obviously one of the biggest complaints people have is upstairs is either much warmer or much cooler than the main level, right? So one of the ways to fix that would be to rebalance the air ducts. So this tool basically would show what the airflow is from the upstairs air duct is, right? So sometimes, like on average, I want to see it around 2.3 meters per second. Sometimes I'll see it where it's like a 1.3. Like that was my inspection from a couple days ago. It was a brand new house. The airflow was around 1.3, which is very, very low, right? So yeah, like these are the tools that.
So that goes back to the capacity of the heating and cooling units there.
Well, yes and no. So the first thing that I would that I would look into would be the damper inside the duct, right? So there are dampers.
Yeah.
So sometimes you would have to adjust them to allow more air to come up, right? So it's not the actual air vent cover. Which when you lift it, there's a flap
right?
inside, exactly. Sometimes that flap is not fully open.
Okay.
sometimes it's actually interesting. Sometimes it's the connections throughout the home. They're leaking.
Okay.
Right. So if you go in the basement, you'll see that they didn't tape the joints, for example, on the air ducts. Right. So anytime you have a gap in the ducts, that's a lot of air being lost throughout the travel of the duct. Right. So these are some things that that you can look into for a brand new house. For a used home, it's not like it's not too common to comment on those, because you're like it's expected to have some wear and tear,
Right.
especially on let's say the foil tape, it gets loose or something.
Right.
If it's a major air leak, then yeah, we comment on it, but we can't comment on every single little thing on a pre-purchase inspection, right?
Interesting.
I think it is interesting too that you bring up the brand new side of things, Sam. I think, I don't know about your experience with this, Aboozar, I think there's often a connotation that brand new means perfect. And I think that it's important to remember that builders definitely can make mistakes, and that it's just as important to get somebody like Sam in to take a look at a brand new home as it would be with a home that's 5 years old.
Any sort of, I feel like, yeah, I mean, especially like, I mean, we don't want to get into those periods that where you know the market was, you know, so active and hot that, you know, people setting aside inspections and so on. I mean, we don't want to go through that again, but essentially I feel like for investments, for repeat buyers, for, you know, first time home buyers as well as new builds, I think it's essential to have that peace of mind, you know. I mean, you have a list of things to work with, you know, then you take it up with the builder, you did take it up with the seller, but at least you know what you should be budgeting in the months and years to come and what you're dealing with overall. Absolutely.
Yeah, and I do think there can be issues that are hidden behind the scenes, right?
Sometimes it's not even issues, like for sure brand new homes have issues, right? It's I've never done a brand new home where it was perfect, but sometimes it's as simple as not having enough insulation, right? Or the insulation levels in the attic is not level, right? So even though that's not a huge deal, but this is something that you paid for, so the builder has to come back and they have to top up the insulation, or they have to fill in the low spots, right?
Yeah.
So I've done a few homes where on the same street. So it's to me it seemed like it was a trend by the insulation company, where they said if we chop off around 2 inches of insulation on each home, then the sixth or the seventh home is going to be free insulation, right? So I've seen that where I've done like 3 or 4 homes on the same street, and all of them had like 3 inches of missing insulation.
So this is not a mistake, right?
It's not a mistake. It's more of a cost cutting measure, and then they'll say, well, we'll top it up when
they call it in or whatever.
When when it gets picked up by the inspector or by the homeowner.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
I wanted to I'll tell you my nightmare story with my inspections, some of the inspections I've been on, and then you can tell me your crazy
sure.
your crazy one. My fun one was when we opened up the panel and we saw a mouse fried on the wires there. So that was
that's bad.
That was mine. Yeah. So it was an older split level bungalow, and it needed a lot of work, but that was not so fun to see, or fun to see.
I can only imagine with that.
There's no smell when you guys went in? You didn't smell anything?
No, it was just, I don't know. There's so much smell, it's different smells with older properties too, right? Yeah, so it's like the old smell of the home, and if there were smokers or not, and then it's a lot of the dampness of the basement, you know, many things involved, right? But this was, it was a good surprise as soon as that panel went off. It's like, whoa.
I wouldn't say I have one that's as surprising as that, Aboozar. I do feel like I've seen many different things now. Like, you know, it's, I don't know, I think there'd honestly be a business for just an inspection on your home randomly 5 years after you purchase it, because there are so many things that you see that there's never just one size fits all. So, I mean, I've seen joists, I've seen foundation moving, I've seen windows with zero value, basically windows straight out to the outside, 100-plus-year-old window, all sorts of stuff at this point. I'd love to hear Sam's.
I have a lot. I just don't know what's interesting for you guys.
You have a lot of time.
Yeah. No, there's one story that it's from one of the inspections. I'll never forget this one. It was an older home. I think it was built in the 60s, but it was fully flipped. Beautiful home, and like it has all the latest lightings and the flooring and the paint. It was a really nice home. Like, it was a nice flip. And so as I said, I told you guys earlier, I start from top and then I work my way down, right? So I'm doing the bathrooms, and I'm hearing like water trickling somewhere. Like I started with the ensuite shower, and the water's running. I'm checking the plugs. I'm checking the drains for the sink. Checking the toilet if it's loose. But I'm hearing water going somewhere, and I'm like something's not right, because it's not a common sound that I hear.
Yeah.
So I turn off the shower. I leave the bathroom, puddle of water coming from behind the shower and into the master bedroom. And it was pooling there. And I'm like, oh my God, this is really bad. So I go down, the agent was sitting on the dining room table. As I was going down, the spotlights in the living room started to drip water as well.
Oh my God.
And I'm like, oh my God, that's a lot of water. It's going somewhere where it's not supposed to go. So I notified the agent, and he called the listing agent right away.
Yeah.
And he said, just go to the basement, turn off the main water meter, shut-off valve. Yeah. And he's like, just try to dry up as much as you can, so like the hardwood doesn't swell up or anything, right? Yeah. And it wouldn't stop. And I took a video of it. Like, the spotlights were dripping, and then the opposite spotlights started dripping as well. So I'm like, there's obviously so much water in the ceiling, and it's just flowing now everywhere, right?
Oh my God.
It was like, for me, I was kind of nervous, because I'm like, water is not supposed to mix with electricity, right? Yeah. So what do I do, right? Do I turn off the main breaker panel and cut the power off to the home? But yeah, that was something that I'll never forget. And obviously the buyers walked away.
No kidding. That's a dream for a buyer agent.
Wow.
You're just sitting in the living like water coming.
A nightmare.
I don't know if a discount's gonna do it.
Yeah.
What do you think happened there? Was it just?
So I actually followed up with them after, and basically what happened was there was a small crack in the shower plumbing line. So the crack was obviously before the faucet. Yeah. So whenever you turn on the water, there's some water coming out from the faucet as well, from the crack in the copper line, and it was going behind the shower, right? So it actually revealed some information that no one can see, which is the missing waterproofing for the shower, right? So if the shower was properly waterproofed and the membrane was all tied in properly, you wouldn't be getting leaks downstairs.
And that's what happens with especially older homes that some of the units aren't used as often, especially these jacuzzi tubs, right? I feel like one cottage I showed was exactly that. Like, you ran the water and we're going to the rest of the home, and it was just a landing area underneath. So the stairs are going down, the bathroom ceiling is there, and I'm just seeing the drywall starting to like crumble, and just water's bubbling up. I'm like, oh my God. So we ran up, and hence it was something to do with the tub there that was making a leak.
Yeah. There was a home that I did last year where like near the end of the inspection, the drywall, like the paint on the drywall in the basement, bubbled up to like, it was a huge bubble. And like the agent panicked, right? And like, what's going on? And then same thing, he called the listing agent, said this is what's going on. So the listing agent's like, to turn off the main water line. But he was trying to, like, listing agent was kind of surprised. He's like, well, like, this hasn't happened before, why is it happening now? But like, the home, like, you can tell the home has been vacant for a long time. So likely one of the drain lines dried out or something from the P-trap or from the gaskets, and it caused that leak to happen, right? So it was, to me, that was a little bit I was like what do we do? Do we pop it and let the water out, or do we just leave it in there and just take a video showing that it's there, and that, like, just so no one gets the blame, right?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
And also I wanted to know before you wrap up, obviously you're there to give the buyers or the sellers, mind you, mostly buyers, an idea of what they're dealing with, right? And as much as you can, the latent defects that are unseen, right? To discover them. But again, it's not written in stone, right? You're not guaranteeing, everything to be okay post. So what are the things that you cannot touch and things that you can actually look into for them? What are the no-nos? Because I know some inspectors will not touch the appliances, for example. Appliances they will not run. I don't know if that's a discretion for that specific inspector. It's to your discretion whether you're gonna run appliances or not. And then I had inspections where I was telling Dan that person took a. I wasn't there. I was like upstairs, and he had the plier on the carpet, pulled the carpet back, and he's looking underneath. So, what are the no-nos, and what is the furthest point where you can actually go to do your due diligence for the buyer?
Yeah, it's a good question. It's a very good question. So, a home inspection in general, it's a visual inspection, right? So pulling apart carpets and all that stuff, it's not one, it's not required, and two, it's not recommended because obviously you just damage someone's home, right?
Right.
How far do I go? I go as far as doing things that I think are important. So for example, removing the cover off an electrical panel, right? Realistically, home inspectors, like they don't have to remove the cover off the electrical panel. Also, if you want to look into it deeper, you need to be a licensed electrician to remove that cover off a panel. But obviously, a lot of home inspectors do still remove it. So I'm sure some don't because they want to follow the rules 100%. I personally remove it because it tells me a lot of information, right?
Yeah.
I can see if there's melted wires, if there's double taps.
Mice.
Yesterday, from my inspection yesterday, we found wasps, right?
Yeah.
I pulled the cover off and like 4 wasps flew out.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
yeah. So yeah, it's when it comes to appliances, personally, we don't test appliances with at 613 inspections. The main reason for that is because there's different settings, right? So am I testing the self-cleaning option or am I testing the baking option?
Sometimes
right?
a can of worms, right?
Yeah. So if you say that I tested and it's the baking option is working, and then let's say when they move in and they try the self-cleaning option and it's not working, then they'll say, well, you told us the oven was working.
Yeah.
Right? Sometimes I've also seen where the sellers will swap appliances.
Yeah.
So I tested one appliance, but then they swapped it out and then they put one that's faulty, and then they're going to say, well, why is it faulty? Well, if you go back to the photos, you'll see that it was a different appliance. So personally, for our inspections, we don't do appliances. And then what recommend is to do the appliances on your last visit before closing, right? So check all the appliances, run the dishwasher, run the washer, run the dryer. If the AC is off, run the AC, hot water, cold water, just try everything, right? Because conditions change, right? So when you do the inspection is basically on the time of the day of the inspection date, right? So a lot of things can change from now until closing. Sometimes closing is 3 months away, 4 months away. Sometimes it's a month away, right? But it's always recommended to try things before closing.
Excellent.
Fantastic. Did you have anything you wanted to add, Sam? Anything you wanted to share about your company, about what you got into it for, anything like that you wanted to plug before we wrap?
Oh, I think we touched on everything.
Yeah. Any questions? 613 inspection.
Inspections.
It's a nice name to remember.
Yeah,
it is. Yeah.
Awesome. Good stuff. Well, thank you for visiting us, Sam, and hopefully we'll see you in the next
in the
episode
field.
to come in the near future and in the field once I join the inspection community.
Well, thanks for having me, guys.
Awesome.
Pleasure
Nice to have you here.
Thank you. Until the next episode, take it easy.
All right. All the best.
Take care.